In this video we're going to look at translation. Now to do translations you're going to need a vector, and a vector looks like this. You can kind of think of it as being closely related to a coordinate, but whereas a coordinate tells you an exact point, a translation talks about an actual movement. So this one is a nice tall bracket and on the top with the number 3. The number 3 tells me to move 3 in the horizontal axes or the x-axis, and the number at the bottom tells us how much to move vertically, that's up or down, and depending on whether they're positives or negatives tells us which direction we're going along those axes. So let's have a look at some examples. In this example I've tried to keep the numbers the same so that you can see different movements and how the positive and negative affect them. So in the first one, the vector 3, 2 tells us to move 3 units to the right and 2 units up. You can think about this as moving 3 units in the positive direction on the x-axis and 2 units in the positive direction on the y-axis. In the second vector, minus 3, 2, this time I'm going to move 3 units to the left and 2 up. In the third example, I'm going to move 3 units to the right and I'm going to move 2 units down. And in the final example, this one has me moving 3 units to the left and 2 units down. Here are some vectors for you to have a practice at. Try writing down what directions you think they're trying to tell you to do. Pause the video here, hit play when you're ready for me to show you the answers. Okay, solutions for these then. So the first vector, minus 1, 2, is asking me to do that. The second vector, minus 3, 0, this one's a bit interesting. It doesn't actually move up or down at all, and I show that by having the number 0 in there. The third example has me moving 5 left and 2 down, and the very last one, 4 to the right and 1 down. So putting these translations into practice, we can actually take a shape and move the entire shape by a vector. So in this example, example number 1, I'm given a triangle and I've highlighted all of the 4 corners of the triangle. Now each one of these corners individually is going to have that vector 4, 1 applied to it, and it's going to mean that it moves and ends up in a new position. So let's have a look at this corner by corner. If I take the first one and move it 4 in the positive x direction, or 4 to the right, and 1 unit up, the movement is going to look like that. Now I take each of the other 2 corresponding points and apply the same vector to them, moving 4 in the positive direction on the x-axis and 1 in the positive direction on the y-axis, or 4 to the right and 1 up each time. You can see that I've ended up with a new shape, and you can kind of see the outline. All I need to do there is to join it up, and I've translated that shape successfully. Example number 2, same shape again. This time the vector is minus 7, 0. So be careful with a vector like this. Each one of those points is going to move 7 spaces to the left, or 7 in the negative x direction, and there's going to be no vertical movement at all. And I can tell that because of the 0 in the bottom half of the vector. So each one of these corners in turn moves minus 7, or 7 to the left, giving me an outline of my new shape. Join it all up and I've successfully translated the shape. Here's a practice for you to have a go at. All of these different shapes have different vectors to get to their new positions. Label each one B, C and D. Pause the video here, hit play when you're ready for me to talk you through some answers. Okay, so let's have a look at where shape B should end up when the vector 5, 4 is applied to it. It should end up in that position. C has no movement in the x direction, it just moves down by 4 spaces. And lastly, shape number D ends up in this corner all by itself when the vector negative 9 and negative 8 is applied to it. Thanks for watching this video. There is a second video on translation. Don't forget to have a look at it.